So we've got breaking scientific news that will be of interest to you. Now that Joe Biden is almost president, it turns out the coronavirus is completely different from what it was like last month. It turns out coronavirus lockdowns are actually not necessary. And we're learning that from pretty major figures in the Democratic Party, like the mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, even the so-called scientific community. You still trust them? Wish we could. A new study in the European Journal of Clinical Investigations has found that mandatory lockdown orders, and we're quoting now, may not provide significantly more benefits to slowing the spread of the disease than other voluntary measures. Now, if that sounds familiar, possibly it's because you've heard it on this show about 50,000 times from this man. His name is Alex Berenson. He's the author of Unreported Truths About COVID-19 and Lockdowns, and he joins us tonight. Alex, thanks so much for coming on. How does it feel to have the so-called scientific community catch up with you, a lone, much despised blogger? Seriously.
Well, I mean, Tucker, all I did was look at the evidence. And by the way, this has happened with schools, too, as we know. 8 months ago, if we opened schools, kids were going to drop like flies. That turned out to be a total lie. What's amazing is that, yes, there are people, Lori Lightfoot is saying that bars should be reopened and restaurants should be reopened, but California is under a massive lockdown. And, all you need to do is realize that cases there have been, they grew exponentially in November and December, and the state went into lockdown in early December. It didn't make any difference. In most of the state, there were a couple exceptions. Ireland was in lockdown October through December. They tried for a few days to lighten up, and they had to go back into lockdown, very hard lockdown that's made no difference. Ireland has more cases than almost anywhere else in the world right now. I say cases, I mean positive tests, as we know. The evidence isn't just that lockdowns don't really work, it's that they appear to be counterproductive, especially now that there is this new strain of the virus that seems to be spreading more quickly, at least a little bit more quickly. So what happens is in a place like Ireland or California, you lock down, you have sort of all this dry kindling, and when the virus does take off, it just takes off like crazy. There's this large pool of uninfected people who get infected very rapidly. Look, if you want to be China, and right now this has gone mostly unreported, yet another, a truth that has gone mostly unreported. There are several Chinese cities that have gone into lockdown, massive lockdown in the last couple of weeks. If you want to be an authoritarian government that locks down entire, cities or regions after a single case or a handful of cases and, imposes compulsory testing on millions of people, maybe you have a chance at stopping this virus that 998 or 999 people out of 1,000 survive. Otherwise, you have to live with this. Lockdowns don't work.
That's right. Why are you not the most highly regarded, famous, lauded journalist in America? You should be.
I'm the most disliked journalist in America.
I'm very aware of that, which tells you everything about contemporary journalism. I appreciate your coming on tonight. Alex Berenson, thank you.
Thanks, Tucker.